Welcome back to Justice for Shelley. Tonight, we go back to the beginning. Not the first report, not the first headline. The first moment the truth slipped away. The night Shelley disappeared.
Most cases start with a clear timeline. You build outward, you anchor facts, you confirm movements. But this case never had that. Not because the answers weren't there, but because the story kept bending every time someone got close to it.
Earlier that evening, Shelley was at home, calm, normal, on the phone with people who loved her. She made plans for the next day. There were no signs she intended to go anywhere, no signs she was in danger. But the hours after that are where the ground shifts.
Jerry's movements that night were never pinned down. His timeline changes depending on who is talking and what year they were asked. In one version, he stayed home. In another, he left briefly. In yet another, he wasn't sure what time he returned. Each retelling created its own shadow.
Neighbors later mentioned seeing his truck leave the property during a window he later denied. Another neighbor said they saw headlights return at a time he claimed he was asleep. None of these observations were written down in the early days. They were treated as noise instead of signals.
Then there is Shelley's BMW, sightings near the bridge, reports dismissed without follow-up. A piece of the timeline that could have changed everything, quietly brushed aside.
What I saw didn't match what he told everyone. His truck was out late. I never mentioned it because I knew who I was dealing with.
A simple statement, soft, controlled, but it cuts through the uncertainty surrounding that night. Someone placed Jerry where he said he was not. Someone saw the gap between his words and his movements, and someone stayed silent because the cost of speaking felt larger than the truth itself.
When you piece together the fragments from that night, something becomes clear. The story the public heard was the version that survived pressure, the version shaped by silence, the version protected by influence long before investigators arrived.
People in Corsicana still talk about that night in low tones. The late drives, the lights on at unusual hours, the unease in the air the next morning. None of it ever entered the official record, but the memories never left the people who lived through it.
There were opportunities to understand what happened, opportunities to question the movements, opportunities to challenge the timeline. They slipped by because the people holding those details were never asked the questions that mattered.
And even now, decades later, there are people who carry quiet discomfort about what they saw or heard. People who kept their distance because they understood the influence surrounding Jerry. People who knew the wrong detail at the wrong time could pull them into something bigger than they wanted to face.
If you're in Corsicana that night and you notice something that did not sit right, your voice still matters. Even a small detail can change the shape of the truth. Go to watkins-murder.com and submit what you know. Your tip is confidential. Rewards are available for credible information.
The night Shelley disappeared has never been fully told. Its missing pieces are held by the people who lived it. It takes only one of them stepping forward to shift the story that has stood for 30 years.